Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to a special presentation of the Swbl podcast Captain Interviews. I am here and pleased to be joined by Mr. Alex Heck and Steve Hayes from the Swbl Athletics. You know, Alex Heck is the Swbl Athletics captain, on the website, but, hasn't been at the Swbl, as of recent. So Steve has kind of stepped up and taken the role as captain for the A's on the field at the Blur. So we invited both of them to come out and join us today. So Alex, thanks for joining us. It's good to see your face again.
Yours as well. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And Steve, we were teammates last year on the Braves in the crazy year that was 2020. And we were the #1 seed heading into the playoffs and, fell into Jimmy after that. And we lost that second round of the playoffs game. So, we were so close, Steve, but it was good to play with you for first time in our career in the Swbl. But how was it last year on the Braves? And are you looking forward to being back on the A's this year?
Yeah, Sam, it was a lot of fun last year. First time being a #1 seed going to the playoffs. And unfortunately, we ran into Jimmy, who kind of made his sweep of the playoffs. But I'm excited to be back with Al being able to come back this year. And we got some newcomers, and I think we brought some new energy. And I think the A's will bear with it too.
Yeah, and we are definitely going to be talking about all those newcomers and all the different things that the A's have in store for this year. And we wanted to first make sure that we talk about, the Athletics from the past. You guys in 2018 and in 2019, we'll talk about your most two recent years with the A's. You guys went 4-6 both of those years. And if you go back even further, back to 2016, you were the American League champions, defeating the Royals. And we'll get talking to you about your division later on. This year, your division includes the Royals and the Twins, you guys are a combined 1-17 against those teams in your history. The one win being in the playoffs against the Royals in that one. So Alex, talk about that 2016 moment about getting to the finals and really, going through your mantra about shocking the world. Nobody ever expected it. You can even talk about the Luke Bakula, Sam Bakula bet about, the A's logo on the bottom of Sam Bakula if they would have won the championship. It was so close, but talk about that 2016 magical year.
Yeah, I think, going back even further, the preceding several years, there was a high internal belief in our team. And other people saw it. We were franchise of the year. We had the team chemistry. We were America's sweethearts. And I think that we always had the most fun playing with each other, and that was the foundation. But also we believed in our team and in each other. And I think that was just a culmination of that. Sure. Maybe we don't have guys who are perennial all-stars every year, but we do have people who are all-stars. We have Paul's a former MVP. Yeah. Steve has been in that hunt a few times. Luke was certainly in that hunt when he was on our team that year. And not to mention I was an all-star at one point, but things just clicked. And I think that there still has always been the belief that things can click again. Definitely we've struggled against the Royals and the Twins historically, but there's never been a doubt in our minds. It's the same as in actual baseball. Our peripheral stats in our eyes look good. We're our exit velocity is good. We're getting line drives, but the batted ball luck just isn't there. And that's kind of our view on our record against the Royals and the Twins.
And Steve, in the past, you have been a pitcher for your team in the A's of past, but most recently, you haven't been on the mound as much, some injuries here and there plaguing you as well. And you haven't been back on the mound. And we're going to talk about your roster in just a moment, but there's one person in particular is also not a pitcher for your team, but Mr. Mike Carl will not be returning to the A's this year again. And what's it like to lose somebody like Mike Carl on your roster? And, he's been an incredible bat for you guys in 2018, 2019, but what's it like to lose him for 2 years in a row?
It definitely hurts. I mean, Mike has always been a consistent, good, solid player. He always puts up good stats. He's definitely has been probably our most consistent hitter over the past ever since he joined the team, 3 or 4 years ago. And it hurts, but and I know he's hurting too, that he's not able to come and play with us as well. But as things go, but he's he's definitely been watching, and he's looking to come back. But hopefully, with some of these new additions this year, we can get some consistent guys. And I think we might have the more, whether it's good or bad, I think we have the most depth that we've ever had on this year's roster.
And it's going to be exciting. And, we're going to talk about that depth in just a moment, but we want to thank our newest sponsor to our sponsorship family. We want to thank Logix. Logix simplifies logistics when you need freight moved with reliability. You can visit them at logixinc.com. And we want to thank Logix for joining as our new media sponsor this year for the SWBL. And we're going to move right along, guys, to our breakdown of your roster. And the draft has happened. Everything's set for your roster. You guys have 6 players this year coming. The return of Alex Heck, the heart of the team, is back. You have Steve Hayes and Paul Castellano, who have not missed a year in a long time, unless it was Steve's injury year. But you guys have had, you have this consistent 3. You guys have 3 people on your roster, but then you drafted 3 other rookies this year, and the most draft picks by any other team this year. And you actually have drafted 3 people that could definitely make an impact for your team. And it's going to be exciting to see how you guys are going to rotate them through. I'll talk about what I know a little bit about these rookies, in just a little bit. And then I'm going to turn it over to you guys to talk about your strategy behind it all. But let's talk about the 3 of you. Paul Castellano's got to fit in as, your guy's ace when it comes to it, but he's also your best fielder in a sense too. So it's like, you have to kind of balance that. Is he your 60% pitcher? Is he your 30 inning pitcher? Or is he going to get some more time in left field and we split between some rookies? Another question I would have is Alex Heck going to return on the mound? It has been a while since Alex Heck been. And Alex, at one time, people were thinking you were growing into a possible ace or number 2 for many teams. You had some good pitching years in the past as well. But let's talk first, we can talk about, the 3 of you. What are going to be kind of the roles, Alex, when it comes to the 3 returning guys for your guys' team? Are you going to step up with some pitching innings? What's Paul's situation going to be like? Is Steve going to get on that mound, maybe throw a few, or is he going to get back in right field, get his gold hands back in it? We never know. But Alex, what's it going to be for the returning core of your team?
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it there with Paul being our bell cow. Kind of across the field, that he's a guy we look at as not really coming off the field, whether it's left field or pitching. And then certainly looking to get, just maximize his at bats as well as being a former MVP. I think Steve as well is another guy who's not really going to come off the field. And again, we want his bat in the lineup as much as possible. But Steve nailed it on the head when he talked about depth earlier. I think having depth in this year, where things are, it's just a strange year again. But depth is a good problem. So we are excited about having flexibility. In the past, we've always wanted to have 4 players just to minimize, people worrying about not getting playing time.
Sure.
But I think that, again, like we talked about, chemistries are the strength of this team. I think bringing in 3 guys, we feel pretty strong about our team culture, that we can bring in 3 guys and not have an issue. But I also think that, the core of the team is team first. And while me as, captain, I'm going to want to put Steve and Paul in as much as possible. If they were struggling and they needed to sit, and if these new guys came in hot, they wouldn't have a problem sitting. And I think that'll be the stance I take on my own playing time. Sure. I don't know if I can flip my camera around, but I've been working a little bit, just throwing in the backyard against my garage.
Nice.
Obviously taking 2 years off isn't ideal from hitting timing wise, but looking to get that back. But I'm also not afraid to let a new young bull get some at bats. So flexibility be the key for, I think, for us.
Yeah. And let's talk about your rookies. It's an exciting time, in the A's organization, because you guys are a relative unknown, and sometimes unknown, especially in this league, can be dangerous. And you have some guys that actually have some experience as well with wiffle ball. And let's talk about your 3 rookies. You guys drafted Chris Vorbeck with the number 2 overall pick. And Steve, maybe you could talk about him in just a moment as well too, and how you guys have that connection. And then also with the last 2 picks of your guys' draft, you drafted 2 guys with some wiffle ball experience in Josh Rogers and Jordan Smith. And I will tell you, I played with Josh Rogers. I've played with Jordan Smith. I met Jordan Smith for the first time recently, and Jordan is an incredible guy that is going to fit on your team perfectly. I mean, it's almost uncanny how much of an A he is. Just talking to him one time, you're like, yep, you are definitely an athletic. You can tell the way he talks, his mannerisms, he's definitely going to fit in so well with your team. He's a friend of, the Polies and Keaton Adams, and he knows John Calloway and a few other guys in our league too. So it's going to be a real good connection to see him back. And I tell you what, he's a pretty good pitcher. And he hit more home runs in a spring training game that I was there than anybody else on the field. So Jordan Smith, a good find for you guys, and somebody that's going to get some good reps for you guys. And Josh Rogers is probably the most experienced wiffle ball player maybe on your guys' team. And that's saying something because we've been playing for a while. And Josh Rogers played for the Brewers last year and did really well for them. If he would have qualified for some of our stats, he would have finished top 5 in batting average. And he didn't pitch for the Brewers at all, but he's actually a really great pitcher too. So that's something that you guys need, is that depth. And so Steve, talk about your rookies. Introduce us to Chris Vorbeck and what we can know about this rookie coming into it too. And how are these rookies going to be utilized, Steve, on your team this year?
All right. Well, one thing I just want to piggyback off of what Alex said earlier is that I think, the A's have always been having a team first mentality. And I think one thing that as me, Paul, and Alex can attest to, we'll do whatever is best for the team. And I think having 3 rookies with that understanding too, I think our goal this year with these rookies and ourselves is just, we're going to find the best fit, find whatever works. If we're going to have funky lineups or we're going to have mid-game changes, we'll do it.
Yeah.
If we just think that's what's best. But I think all 3 of these rookies have a pretty good understanding of, that's A's baseball, and they're going to go along with it to shock the world. We're going to go back to 2016, but
yeah. So
Chris was I think Chris will be a good addition. I've known Chris for a long time. He's a lefty batter.
That's important for you guys. It's something that you guys haven't had in a while.
Yeah. And I played baseball with him all throughout high school. Me, him, and Edlo played on a bunch of the same teams together. Chris played all 4 years at this Met. But I think he's competitive. He's athletic. I think he grew up playing a lot of wiffle ball. So he's excited and he's ready to go.
Yeah, hearing you guys talk about these rookies, and these are 3 rookies that definitely can give you something. And I've had conversations with some of these rookies, and they are just ready and hungry to play, and they understand that mentality of, I just an example. I talked to Jordan Smith the other day. He goes, I don't care if I just get 10 at bats. He said, like the whole season, just being a part of the weekend, getting to know people as well, and hopefully making a mark that hopefully gets him a spot on a franchise maybe in the future somewhere. And that's kind of what this is. For a lot of rookies, it's how are you going to do this year? You're trying out almost for a spot, on that team currently, or, seeing what other franchises might think of you too. So it's awesome that you guys are giving this opportunity. And I personally believe that the rookie of the year race comes through the Athletics. I truly do. I think that you guys are giving the most opportunities. There are some rookies that, could do some good. I know the Royals have a rookie in Leon Cherry, who is finally going to get to come and get some at-bats for the Royals. And then you also have Corey Poley, who is finally rookie of the year eligible, coming to the Marlins as well. And then a few other guys being drafted, but might not get the full eligibility like these A's will. So you got to believe that the rookie of the year race is coming down to the A's. And, guys, your roster, like I said, is something that could be dangerous for anybody. You sneak a win out when somebody is going to overlook you, and then it ruins playoff chances for people. And you do that a couple times and you get some easy wins, and all of a sudden, it's in playoff contention. And that's what's the beauty of this year, is anybody can win. And that's what I love about it. And let's talk about the schedule real quick, Alex. Schedule has come out, and you guys have probably, looked at the games, kind of processed through, who might be pitching what game. But is there a specific game on your schedule, Alex, that sticks out as the captain of the A's that you're circling that's going to change your season? We need this game. Like, this is our important game. We need to be competitive, or we need to win this game. What's that game for the A's this year?
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, our record against the Royals and the Twins, that if I could pick 2, it's those 2. But if I just had to pick one, it's got to be the Royals. We want to prove that playoff game wasn't a fluke. And, again, there's that internal belief in our team that's the case. But I think that we just want the results to show that way.
And that first game against the Royals and Athletics, I believe, is coming on Saturday morning, 8:45 a.m. So that's the first game on Saturday morning for both teams. And either team could come out with a win or a loss in that game because it's the first game of the day. And for you guys, you kind of have a little advantage because that's the first game for the Royals of the entire season. So I mean, it could be a chance to really make a mark. And like you said, take that 1-17 record between those two teams and say, yes, this isn't a fluke. So yeah, I like that. I like that pick for sure. And it's definitely be a fun game in the morning to play you guys and get everybody's season started off and maybe shock the world real early in the season 19.
That's right.
All right. And Steve, another question for you. And I've been putting a lot of captains and people on the spot, but I'm going to have you take Alex out of the equation and take yourself out of the equation. Okay, Steve? So you have 4 people that you can play with, and 3 of them are rookies. So this is going to be an interesting little game that we play with all these. And your team's going to be a little interesting here too, Steve. But if you could, and I'm going to give you 3 options, you have to trade one of these players, bench one of these players, and if you could only start one of these players, what would you do? And I put every team on the spot. Some people take a cop-out answer. Some people get creative. As an example, when I said this with my brother in the Royals podcast, he said he would trade me right before playoffs. And he would trade me for Brett so that I don't lose another pitching game in the playoffs and Brett could win for him. So that was like his. So, you can get creative, whatever you would like. He was hoping to get a big return for me for the trade. But if you had to, can't be Alex, can't be you. So you got Paul, Chris, Josh, and Jordan. And I know you don't know a lot about everybody, but if you could only start one of them and you had to bench one and trade one, who would it be?
Wow.
put them on the spot early with these rookies,
yeah.
But no hard feelings to anybody. It's just for fun.
I think an easy one is I have to start Paul because Paul is, the backbone of the A's right now. He does everything. He's our 5-tool player. Maybe I think I'd bench Chris Vorbeck because I think Chris might throw a temper tantrum if I bench him.
Be funny. Or he might understand your friends. Like, who knows? But yeah, okay. And then trade. Who would you trade? Maybe get a big return from. Who knows?
I met Josh last summer and Josh was solid, but I've never met Jordan, but maybe I trade him. Maybe we can get some draft picks or get someone good, or we can get maybe a case of Bush.
Sure. Yeah, and Jordan is good friends with Keaton Adams. So maybe try to trade into the Astros, get a case of Bush, something like that. You can get absolutely. So love those answers, Steve. Sorry to put you on the spot like that. I know you were getting nervous there but no hard feelings to all these teams, obviously, as we go through it too. But guys, I want to do one more question about, this season coming up, and that is your division. I'm sure you guys watched the division draw and getting teams like the Twins and the Royals, who are, perennial playoff teams in the franchise era, like we talked about the record 1-17 in your guys' career with these two teams, was there and you've seen these teams 18 times. Like, were you hoping to get somebody new? Like, it was just that sinking feeling of, like that 1-17 record just hanging over your head? Or was it the opposite? Was it like, all right, this is our chance to finally prove it? Like, what was your thought behind the division? Was there anybody else you were hoping that would slide in? Or like, what was your thought process there, Alex?
I think it's a little bit like, with the Nebraska Cornhusker situation recently, trying to get out of that game against Oklahoma.
Sure.
You never want to do that. That's just soft, and that's not our team. We're not scared going up against anybody. And like I said, our team culture is that internal belief, and we are, we'll go toe to toe with anybody. And most years we split with the Yankees. That was going to be my pick for the schedule until I, thought harder about our record. And I just want to validate our team by proving ourselves on the record. But, I think that was a big part of that playoff run was we weren't scared going into any game.
Yeah.
So, no, we were, you want an easier path. Sure. It's just like seeding in March Madness. But, the first reaction was just buckle up.
Yep.
Let's go.
And you really can't do anything about it.
I'm excited to play.
Yeah. Once the draw happens, I love the mindset that you have, because you maybe want some certain teams, you guys could look at the Expos and say, we've had success against the Expos, we can hopefully if we get them at the top, maybe repeat some success. And like you said, Yankees, we've split with them, maybe get a little success, but then you get Royals Twins. And it's like, well, all right, let's change the mindset, new ideas for this franchise. So, I like that.
And plus with our new players, we got all the scouting report on the Royals and the Twins, and they don't have the scouting report on 3 of our guys. So
that's definitely true. And that's what makes you guys a very dangerous
team. And that's a
anybody.
recipe to shock the world.
Yeah.
Fresh eyes, new energy. I think, the A's have always been, every win is a grind. And I think, we always set the expectation that we can win any game.
Yeah.
It's just a matter, we got to stay with it the whole time. And I think, with these new guys going in, I think we're going to be really flexible this year. And I mean, we're going to come in, we're going to make changes. We're going to do whatever it takes to win every game. So I think,
I love it.
With that collective mindset, I think we, as much as we played the Royals and Twins, which we probably play them more than any other team.
Yeah.
I think we're up for the challenge.
I love it. I love the mindset of this podcast, and it's one of my favorite interviews I've done so far. Talking to a team that is in a rebuilding mode, but definitely could be a chance to really shock the world with the mantra. So, guys, I want to thank all of our division sponsors as well today. We want to thank Cardinal Blinds and Shutters, Ketting Eye Center, and Glendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram for all of our division sponsorships and all the games that they'll be playing with the divisions. We want to thank all of our division sponsors for coming back again for season 19. For our next segment, guys, this is my favorite segment I do in these interviews, and it is a rapid fire round. And what better way to cool off in a rapid fire round than with a frozen custard from Andy's Frozen Custard. So this will be the Andy's Frozen Custard rapid fire round. I have 10 questions for you guys. And Alex, we're going to have you answer first, and then Steve will answer right after that. No explanation. Let the viewers do the explaining in their heads. Let them think about your answers. It's just the first thing that comes to your guys' head. What is your answer to these 10 questions? First thing that comes to your head. If you have a small explanation, you maybe could say a few words in explanation, but sometimes a one-word answer says it all. Alex, are you ready to get started?
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. First question, a little toss-up for you guys as well, but favorite pizza topping? Alex, go.
Sausage and banana peppers.
Oh, they got a double. Steve?
Bacon and jalapeno.
Bacon and jalapeno. All right, very good. I'm a pineapple guy. And I know people get mad at that, but I'm a pineapple guy. All right, who is the most underrated player in the SWBL? Alex?
Paul.
All right, who is the best SWBL rivalry? It could be a current or past rivalry. Any team.
A's, Yankees.
Are we doing players or teams?
Hey, you can do a player. If Alex did teams,
I like that.
You can go player, sure. Best rivalry.
All right, hold on.
There are some interesting individual rivalries.
I got a player.
Well. Alex,
let me change mine. Steve, you go ahead.
Rob Walters versus the Spencers.
Yeah, if only Rob would still come, he's not an Astro anymore, but all of you still come. But that is the best past rivalry. The Rob Walters.
I changed mine to Luke Bakula and Spencer Bogad.
That's a good one too. I do like that one as well. All right, moving on. Who will be the 2021 SWBL home run leader? Alex?
Paul.
Whoa. Paul back at it, 40 home runs recently. Nobody has ever hit over 40 home runs in a season ever in the franchise era. Obviously the game has changed, hitting over 25 is a huge feat now, but all right, Paul Castellano. Steve?
I'm going to say Jackson
Crossley. What a pick. That is not a pick that has been made. So I love it. Who will have the lowest ERA in season 19?
Let's go Josh Rogers.
Josh Rogers. Love the pick. A's confidence.
I'll say Jimmy.
Yeah, it's been a popular pick, obviously. And Jimmy's ERA was, in the top 5, and he still had a 16-1 game that he lost to the Astros. So think about that, like how good he was in the other games. Like, it's just crazy what he did last year. Who is going to be the Athletics team MVP for any reason? Alex?
Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
All right. I was hoping we'd have a different story, but Paul's just
the
guy.
He's
the guy.
Yeah. Like Steve was talking about, he's a do it all. He'll clean your garage out. He'll wash your car.
Yeah. All right. And I'm gonna have you guys have different answers for this next question. Okay. Different answers for this next question. And if you could trade for any player in the SWBL, who would it be? Alex?
Gus.
Steve, gotta have a different answer. Can't be Gus. Is that what you're gonna say?
I'll say Will.
Will Rapp. I like that pick as well. That would be great for your team to do a pickup on the mound for you guys, that lefty needed. Draft any non-baseball professional athlete to the A's.
Man,
Tough one.
that is tough.
A lot of good athletes. We've heard NFL. We've heard NBA players. No soccer players yet. No hockey players yet.
Yeah. I mean, Kyler Murray's kind of cheating. That'd be my pick.
Hey,
he's technically not a professional
I
baseball
like that
player.
idea. Nobody's had that idea yet. All right, Steve.
I'll pick Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard. He could probably play it all, right?
Quiet, he'd do everything. He'd be kind of like a Paul out there.
Yeah,
Great defense,
fit in with your team.
Runs. He puts his head down. He goes, he'll hit a home run and immediately just goes and tries to retrieve the ball.
It's true. And as a commissioner, this next question, one of my least favorite things is having a 10-0 team or having an 0-10 team. But do you think we will have an 0-10 team this year in the SWBL? Yes or no question?
No.
Steve?
No.
Love it. And that's what I want as well. Who will be the 2021 SWBL champions? Last question.
A's.
Shock the world, baby. Thank you guys so much. Hey, guys, I want to thank you guys for joining me today on the SWBL podcast interview. Usually we do these on paper, but instead, I wanted to do something a little bit different this year, do a little podcast and everything like that too. We also want to thank our amazing sponsorships. Again, one more time, Logix INC. You can visit them, logixinc.com. Glendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, Ketting Eye Center, Glendale Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, Andy's Frozen Custard, and of course, Ruben Brown back again for our strikeout program, our strikeout philanthropy program. And we are so excited to ring that bell, right, Steve? Ring that bell. Every strikeout. It's got to happen. So we want to thank all of our sponsors and our sponsorship family. And Alex, Steve, I want to thank you guys for joining me again today. Is there anything else, Alex, you want to leave the people with? It could be about the A's, the league, anything else you want to say before we go?
I'm just excited to be back. 2 years is a long time. But it'll be good. I know we start going to have some restrictions, and obviously we're not coming back under the most ideal circumstances, but spring is here.
Yeah.
We're getting vaccines in people's arms. And with that, I get to play a little bit of wiffle ball. So I'm pretty excited.
Awesome. Yes, indeed. Steve, anything else you want to leave with the people?
Shock the world.
Shock the world. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. For Alex Heck and Steve Hayes, I'm Sam Skibbe, Commissioner of the SWBL. We'll see you next time for the next SWBL podcast with the SWBL Rockies. Talk to you later, everybody. See you.
Thanks, Sam.
See you.